Automate your data. Collect student data with a Google form, create individual student spreadsheets, and automatically send that to parents. Just to show you how they all run together. So this is the data I want to collect on this student. Going to submit it. Now, what that did, as a review, entered data here on this spreadsheet. It entered data on that student's spreadsheet, the empty spreadsheets that I created. See, they're all right here. So every time I submit something on Jim 13, Smith 13, that data will appear in his spreadsheet only, and in my spreadsheet. And I can share this spreadsheet with his parent and with Jim. Then it created a PDF, and that automatically sent to the parent. It put the PDF in my folder, and I'll show you again. There is the report from the teacher about my student. So that's how you use sheetspider, formranger to pre-populate, sheetspider to create a spreadsheet on each student or each person, and have every single time you submit a form, all that data gets sent to each spreadsheet individually. Formule to copy down that VLOOKUP formula so that we can make sure the parents get the reports. And the autocrat was that merge where it created that PDF. But how? The scripts that I'm about to show you have been written by Andrew Stillman. You can find him on Twitter. Don't be scared. So the first thing that you need to do is to figure out what kind of data you want to collect and make a form based on the things that you need to collect. So here is the form that I built, and for the purpose of this demonstration, I would like to quickly collect information on students or input data on students that will be automatically sent to the parent. And I also want to keep doing this throughout the year. It's the same spreadsheet I'll be using throughout the year, quarterly or bi-weekly. And each time I do that, the report will be automatically sent to the parent. And then I'll have a spreadsheet for each child so that when the parent wants to come in or when there's a meeting on that child, I have every instance of when I put data in and what my comments were about that child. So I'm going to just collect some simple information. If I'm working with 120 kids, this would be probably the simplest way to do this quickly instead of to be sending out emails to parents and blah, blah, blah. I could just fill out this form quick enough. And then this information is going to be sent to a spreadsheet. And that's what this looks like. And I've also added 2 columns so that when I run the autocrat script, the report will not only be shared with the student but also automatically sent to the parent. So I added those manually at the end. Now what I need to do is gather all of my student information. I put it on a different sheet at the bottom of the spreadsheet here. And just for this purpose, I made up names, and this is how I've been working with sheetspider. I added a new sheet, a new tab, and then I copied and pasted all of the first and last names of my students into this sheet. Now I'm going to use the concatenate function formula to combine the text in the A column and the B column. And I do this because the spreadsheets that sheetspider will create need a unique name. And a lot of times students have similar or the same first name as somebody else or the same last name, so you can't just use one or the other. You could use an email as a unique name. And a lot of times schools have the same format for the domain name. So just for this, I'm going to add that. And then the parent I'm going to be, so that I can show you what that looks like. And to copy down the formula, you just select that little blue box at the bottom of the corner of this cell and drag that down, and it'll copy the formula down all the way so that it'll be concatenating A and B all the way down the rows. And this doesn't have a formula, so it's just going to copy the cells. So sheetspider is in the script gallery. You just need to install it, and then it's going to need to be authorized. And whenever I add a new script to my spreadsheet, it will open a new menu item at the top. So I'm going to run the initial configuration, and once that's finished, then I will see a step 1 here. And an entity spreadsheet, an entity sheet, just means that it's going to create a different spreadsheet for each unique name, and those are my students. So it's going to create a new spreadsheet for each one of my students. And every time I submit data on that student, that data is going to be pushed to their unique spreadsheet. So now I have a new tab at the bottom called sheetspider entities, and this is where I'm going to set it up to name the spreadsheets and to make editors on the spreadsheet if I want to. Okay, and what I'm going to do is to push out the data on the form submit. So this is all about setting up this spreadsheet here that's going to create those individual spreadsheets. And that's what the entity sheet is. This is the sheet that creates all of the unique spreadsheets. The unique entities are going to be here, entity name. Yeah, these are all correct. And then I want it to go to a different folder that I created called Student Documents. So I'm just going to take the folder key, copy that, and paste it here. And save the settings. Okay, if I created a template for that spreadsheet, for those individual spreadsheets, I would enter the key here. I'm not going to do that just because I don't feel that I need to do that. Now the feeder sheet is the spreadsheet down here that all the data is coming from that form to the form response sheet. So that's the one I need as the feeder. It's going to feed all the data to the student spreadsheets. And the column header that has the unique is the student name. I'll show you how that works in a minute. I'm going to save that. Now I need to have these entity names here, and I'm going to grab that from this spreadsheet, from this column. And I don't want to, I can't really copy and paste it because this is the formula, and what it's going to do is just copy the formula, not the text, and I need the text. So I'm just going to enter a little formula, and I use the equal sign to start a formula, this little apostrophe, and I want it to reference the sheet called student info. And I have to have it exactly as it appears on that tab at the bottom. And I want it to reference it for each row. So I put the little exclamation point, and then the first cell would be C2 that I want to reference. So if I go back to student info, it's showing me that C2 is the one that is referencing from the other spreadsheet. Hit enter. So it's all that is pulling in that text from that other spreadsheet, and I'm going to copy that formula down just like I did before. Now the spreadsheet title, I'm going to use the concatenate function again. It's one of my favorites, and I'm going to call it student name report. Let's call it, quarter report. So it's going to tack on the text in A2 with the words quarter report, and that is what the spreadsheet is going to be titled. I'm not going to add an editor, but I may want to add a parent email. But for right now, I would use a VLOOKUP formula, but it's a little bit complicated for the purpose of this, so we don't need to do that right now. I'm going to copy this formula down, and then I'll run step 2. And what step 2 is going to do is to create a spreadsheet with this title. It's creating a link to the new spreadsheet. And I've done this with over 100 students in the same document. It does take some time. When it's finished creating all the spreadsheets, you're going to go on to step 3. And this is going to tell the original spreadsheet what to do with the data and how to do it. So I'm going to use, again, form submit because I want it to happen. I want it all to automate when I submit the form. And I want to make sure that it's pushing data out by the student name, because that student name is going to be connected to that spider sheet or that spreadsheet. So student name here is connected to this student name here, is going to be connected to this student name here. And I'm going to use formranger to automatically populate my form, but I'll show you that in a few minutes when I'm done running the spider script. And you also have you need to have another unique field, and the only one in this instance is going to be the timestamp. Okay, so sheetspider is completely done for now, and I have it set so that whenever I submit something with the form, it will populate the spreadsheet, and that data will be sent out to the individual student spreadsheets. I want to make sure that I don't screw it up when I'm entering into the form. When I'm entering a student name, it has to be exact as it has to match exactly to this entity original name here. Oops. It has to match exactly to this unique entity name, or else the data will not go to that spreadsheet. So I don't want to screw that up. So what I'm going to do is to run a script called formranger. And this is the spider sheet and entity spreadsheet. So this is the one that is going to check the unique names from this to see if where the data is going, which spreadsheet the data is going to. So I want to pre-populate my form with these unique names so that I don't mess that up and it'll go smoothly. The student name in my form has to be a multiple choice question, or else I will not be able to pre-populate it. So I'm not going to populate it from the spreadsheet called form responses, but from the spider sheet entities, because that's the entity name, the unique name that I need. So this is going to pre-populate my form with the student names, the unique ones. Now it's pre-populated all of my students, so I don't have to worry about typing them in. And I was telling you before that I have done this with over 100 students, so it's kind of a pain to scroll down a list of 100 students, but I have them alphabetized so you can alpha key, and they're all starting with Jim in this one, but you can alpha key, so type in, if you want to get all the way down to Z, you just hit the Z key on your keyboard and it will go all the way down the list to Z. Okay, So I have the form filled out, but I'm not going to quite submit it yet because I want to show you how Autocrat can take this form and push out a PDF based on this form to the parent. I need to go back to the spreadsheet into form responses. And now I'm going to find Autocrat. Okay, so in order to pre-populate the spreadsheet with the parent email so that Autocrat can send out the email to the parent, I need to use a VLOOKUP formula. And what I want to do is to check cell B2 in this spreadsheet here, which is the student name. I'm going to compare that to the student info sheet, which has all of the names and the parent and student emails. So it's going to check A2 through E11. It's called an array. It's a bunch of columns with information in it. It's called an array. So this part of the formula here is the array that I need to check for B2. When it finds the exact match from B2 in this array, it's going to stop and then spit out whatever is in column 5 on that row. So in column 5, that's column E here. Oops, adding to the formula on accident. And so that is going to take the text in column 5, row 2, because B2 found that Jim 11, Smith 11 is in row 2, is going to take that email. And it automatically does that. Now, Autocrat doesn't automatically copy down the formula, so I have to add one more script. And that is called formule. The only reason we need formule is to automatically copy down this formula when you submit. Because otherwise it won't copy down the formula to the other rows. And you can use that same VLOOKUP formula for the student email. And you can use the same one if you have folder keys and you want these reports to be sent to student folders so that the students can see your feedback. You would use the same type of thing. So on the student info sheet you would have student folder keys in one column, and you would reference that array and then pull that column out. These things take forever. Okay, formule. I don't know why these things take so long. Okay, now I'm going to go to step 1 in formule. And formule is a great little script. You can send out events and add events to calendar automatically, and you can also send out emails automatically to people and text messages. And I'm just going to choose copy down formula. I don't need any of the other settings. And I'm going to copy down the formula that appears in parent email. I can do the same thing if I have a VLOOKUP on student email, on folder keys. I can do all of that and just copy the formula down. And this is the only part I need of formula. And don't worry, it's creating a new row. It needs to. It's not going to mess with your data. Perfect. Okay, I'll show you. I will submit another response. And let's do this one because I know it has a different email for the parent. And then we need to get to the autocrat again. There it goes. Okay. So it automatically copied down that formula and it's grabbing the parent email. So that's VLOOKUP and formule. So now what I want to do is send this information into a template and merge it with a template. And I created one. Here are the entity spreadsheets. Student report. And I've already created one. And when you're doing a mail merge, just like in Microsoft Word, you need to have fields. And you can create your own fields in Google Docs. That's the beauty of it. So I've created my own fields here that takes the information. So what it's going to do is take the information from this spreadsheet here, and pop it into and merge it into this doc and create a PDF. So this would be autocrat. So I'm choosing my template. This is the one I wanted. It's nice as it goes by last created, so I just created it yesterday. I can quickly find it. It tells you that it has these, they call them tags, but fields, if you're used to mail merge in Office. And my merge data is in form response that correlates to that tab there. Step 3, I never do anything with it, but you could have something skipped if it equals, I don't know, 0 absences and you don't care to send it to the parent. You could do 0 absences, something like that. But I like to leave that blank because there's nothing that I want to skip right now. Okay, now I'm going to map. See, these are the fields from my document template that I showed you, this document here. And these are from the form. These are from the headers from this spreadsheet here. So student name, absences, yes. Participates in class, so I have to map these. That's why you can add any kind of field tag you want, because you can just map them here. So groups. Looks like I might have forgotten one in the other document. That's okay. Okay. Alright, and now I'm going to save them, and I'm going to make a new, I don't know. I think it's going to make a new one. Okay, here I can name it. So we've got report 4, and I want to put the student name there. And I want to add the date to the document file name. And I want it to be a PDF. I can save the links to the documents right in this spreadsheet. And I want to email this to, I'm going to copy this and paste it. So these here will pull the information from the table and pop it into here. Kind of like a VLOOKUP formula. And then I would want to say trigger merge on form submit. So when I submit the form, it will create this document and send it to the parent. It will create documents, and then you'll get to step 6. Now I've already entered 2 pieces of data, so I do want to run the merge. I can preview it, but I'm just going to run it so that it'll go back and create documents for these 2 things here. Okay, so that successfully created this report for the student. This is what it looks like. This is what the parents will see. I must have missed those ones. I might not be able to have a comma in there. That's probably why that didn't work. And then I believe I should have gotten that in my email. There it is. So I've gotten this report for my kid, and it's in my email. And so is the other one. And now I'm going to do the whole thing over again. Just to show you how they all run together. So this is the data I want to collect on this student. Going to submit it. Now, what that did, as a review, entered data here on this spreadsheet. It entered data on that student's spreadsheet, the empty spreadsheets that I created. See, they're all right here. So every time I submit something on Jim 13, Smith 13, that data will appear in his spreadsheet only, and in my spreadsheet. And I can share this spreadsheet with his parent and with Jim. Then it created a PDF, and that automatically sent to the parent. It put the PDF in my folder. And I'll show you again. There is the report from the teacher about my student. So that's how you use sheetspider, formranger to pre-populate, sheetspider to create a spreadsheet on each student or each person, and have every single time you submit a form, all that data gets sent to each spreadsheet individually. Formule to copy down that VLOOKUP formula so that we can make sure the parents get the reports. And the autocrat was that merge where it created that PDF. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me through ladygeeks.org or on Twitter @KatieRegan88.